We're now going to cut the tiles to fit into our valley. We're going to take the measurements from the central line of this gully along the top line into the centre of the valley, and we're going to use the crease of the valley as a guide point for our measurements. So I take my measurement first in the top line where the back edge of our tile sits into the centre of the valley. So that's 65 and 39. I'm going to allow 30 millimeters for a bend down, but first I'm going to cut the tile, lay them in place and run a string line to make sure the tile bend is accurate. So now I'm going to mark the measurement onto my tile to be fitted into the valley. I take my measurement from the same point I took it from the roof, which is the overlap. So from the centre I will mark 65, and I mark it at the same point as I took it from the roof. And then from the centre line again, I shall mark 39 at the front of the tile. Now I take my piece of batten, I find my marks, the other one was there, and using a long nail I score this line. This is now my bend line. So now I've measured out my bend line. Because this is on show, I've done it very faintly, so when it's up on the roof it's not visible. Now I want to allow enough so that I can lay it in position and run a string line across it to get a completely accurate line and have enough to also bend it down into the valley. So on this I'm going to allow 40 millimeters. A simple way of doing this, you can do it with one batten. If you lay your batten on one measurement, this is your bend line, you can mark this, and instantaneously you can mark the reverse side to give you your cutting line. This depends on the thickness of the timber you're using. In this case it's 40 millimeters. So now we cut the tile along our cut line. Near the snips. Now the tile is ready to be seated in place, where we can run a string line through the valley and work out exactly where the neatest line for our bend line is going to go. I'm now going to cut the same in the bottom section here, and then I shall use a string line to mark a straight line for a closed valley. So we hold there. So using the chalk line, I line up with the centre of the valley at the top and at the bottom, and then I ping a line and mark through. So what I've done here is I've marked the back of the tile this time. Working from the back of the tile, with cutting, it reduces wear on your tools, so your tools don't go as blunt, as fast. This line is our bend line, and this line is our cut line. This is the opposite tile from the other side of the valley, so this section here will be our waist. Volley is bending out the ridges in the tile to make it easier to get a nice straight bend with the hand benders. Working on the back of the tile makes the marking line a lot more visible, which will create a neater bend. This is the bend down for the valley tile into the valley. Because of the thickness of the timber we're using, I'm putting a 30mm bend down on it. So I'm bent the line, and now I shall trim. Sorry. With the closed valley, the look we're going for is to achieve the gullies in the tile to match up with each other. This is the perfect fit for a closed valley. To save time when cutting your valley, if you can't find a point to measure from the bottom, or you're finding it difficult, if you use your waist off cut, this will have the same pitch as your valley. You just lay it over the tile and mark it. And then, using your batten, allow your overlap to be trimmed. So again, this is your bend line, and this is the cut line. That's okay, man. I think that looks pretty good. Took a bit of banging to get it in, but okay, look good. Nicely done. So now we've fitted our tiles and our cuts into our valley. We shall nail this up now using the same nailing positions on the overlaps, nailing at the nailing point, and then we shall cut and bend into the top.